Yo, I'm Romar Drake, and this is Light Up the Darkness. It's a little video blog that me and my folks, Malcolm Graham and others included, put together to just kind of basically bring light to the darkness, open up the minds of individuals and the minds of the masses to, what's really going on in the world, what's really going on around you, and to not only just give you information, but to also encourage you to seek your own knowledge and find out what's going on. We have tools like the internet and things like that. The world is a large place, but it's really a small place now that we have the internet and whatnot. So we can find out what's going on instead of just absorbing and eating what they're feeding us, because, as time has proven over and over again, what they feed us isn't always good for us. One, it isn't always the truth. So we started this blog to pretty much encourage you to, one, find out for yourself what's going on, and two, to feed you some of the information that we've gained on our journey in our own walk. We have to consider in this whole thing, we call United States of America, we call it democracy, who's really pulling the strings, who's really who's running things. We all know the saying, money makes the world go round. So with that in mind, who has the money, who's keeping the money, and where's the money flowing? Because, like myself, I definitely don't see any money where I live, where I grew up at, in many neighborhoods where I traveled through. I don't see any of the money, and we're supposed to be one of the richest nations in the world. So who has the money and what are they doing with it? So you ask yourself that one question, and you think, okay, it's not us, it's that top 1%, whoever they are. They got all the bread. So why are they keeping it amongst themselves? Why is it that in the last 40 years, pretty much since like 1970s, that the corporations' profits have kind of skyrocketed, shot pretty much through the roof? Who knows how much the percentages are astronomical, something like 400% or whatever. Again, find out for yourself. But in that same span, the wages of the common person have went down. Maybe it's a small 1%, but still, if they're making 400% profit, our wages remain stagnant and in many cases go down. Something's not right about that. So with that disparity, you're creating a whole lot of problems. People, they need money to live. Prices are going up at the same time as our wages are remaining stagnant. So we're losing wealth. Even though we're making money, we're still losing wealth. So what does that create? It creates poverty. And that makes you think, well, in the richest nation, why would you want so much poverty? But then you think about the history of this country, and we've always run on poverty. At first it was slavery. This nation was built and it became the power that it is today on the backs of one race. They wiped out an entire race when they got here, just wiped them out. And then they took another race from a whole other continent, shipped them over here and many other places around the world, and just put them to work. They nation built. They had to build from ground up pretty much. So everything you see, everything that is here today was here because of an enslaved race. And you look at that enslaved race, they haven't benefited any from that, from building this nation. None. No benefit whatsoever. In fact, it's gotten worse for them. They're still poor, if not as poor as they were when slaves. When you think about it, really, they might be free, not walking around with whips and chains, might live in their own homes and whatnot, but do they really dictate their lives? You know what I'm saying? The bills that they have to pay, it dictates what they do. The obligations that they have, it dictates what they do. They have to work so much, so they're not around to be parents. So we have the deterioration of the household. The same thing they did with slavery. They broke up the families. They took away the moms and the dads, caused the deterioration of the household. They separated everybody. And with that separation of the family, created a separation of the history. So now we don't know each other. We don't know where we came from, even though we all came from the same place. We don't know who we are. So now we have a society out here where an enslaved people, instead of banding together, are still divided and doing what the slave masters once did to us: rob us, kill us, and murder us. Just straight out murder us. We're doing it to ourselves now. You know what I'm saying? When you think about it, it's like, wow, are we still slaves? And in reality, yeah, we are still slaves because we're slaves up here. So, you know, with this blog, what we want to do is free you up here, you know, in your minds, because you might not be walking around with chains physically, but mentally, emotionally, you're still walking around with that bondage. So, you know, open up your eyes, find out what's going on, think outside the box, find out for yourself, and don't just listen to what they're telling you to listen to.